Welcome back to another episode of BHAW Radio. I'm your host, Brian Rowan. This is episode 104. This week, we've got a special one. We're kicking off grad week with our team captains. Welcome to the show, guys. Introduce yourselves.
All right, I'm Nate Lukez. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I was a direct admit, and I'll be commissioning into the Marine Corps here shortly.
I'm Ben Pazook. I'm from Carrollton, Ohio. I'll be FA in Hawaii, but I'll be here for 6 months as an athletic intern for the prep school.
And my name is Matt Williams. I'm from Hudson, Ohio. I branched infantry, and I'll be going to Fort Drum, which is not too far from West Point, so I'll still be around.
Awesome. I hope most of our listeners know where Fort Drum is, but you never know.
I mean, if you look at the Canada border, it's somewhere around there.
Well, appreciate you guys coming on. I know this is, it's Monday night of grad week, and I know things can get a little stressed. This is for the listeners out there. We've had some technical difficulties. So for the past like 15 or 20 minutes, we've been trying to get good internet, and we kind of went through an introduction or two. But I think we hit this one pretty well. What do you guys think?
I think so.
Hopefully it doesn't cut out again. But how's grad week going? I think you mentioned a little bit earlier, before the listeners were on air, you guys paraded for like 3.5 hours today. So that's sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're out there catching some rays, but it wasn't too bad. I mean, the grad rehearsal was a little bad because you need to like sit through a lot of like the whole class going up on the stage and getting their diplomas, but at the end of the day, it's another stepping stone to graduating, so it's not too bad.
It's kind of hard to be in a bad mood this week, leaving West Point at the end and be a little bittersweet. I'll miss. I talked to Coach Ward today. I went in the wrestling room and lifted, and it's going to be hard to imagine life without Army wrestling because it's just been it's really been my life the last 4 years. So it's really going to be difficult to kind of separate myself from that.
Yeah, I think the real question is, Ben, you got out of drilling today, though. How did you do that?
I'm on battalion.
Lucky, that's what he is.
No,
I also got cut though, so I showed up, I was all ready to go, but it pays to be a little bit on the short end. So,
oh yeah, they probably take like a certain amount from each company, right? Is like has to go out there and
yes, sir.
Draw straws. And this was I was hoping we would do this episode on Thursday because Thursday is my 15-year like date of like when I graduated, so that would be like a monumental night. Yeah, I'm old. I don't look it, but I graduated 15 years ago. So Coach Bly's talked about it on the last show, and I think I've even asked some of the coaches, some of the guys about it. But the younger guys are all in a PIAD this week, correct? And so they get out of all the drilling and all the requirements and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That is wild.
Great gig. Although you're really feeling it in the wrestling room. Those guys are working hard, and watched them this morning. They had about 2 hours a technique with Coach Breeze and working some 2-on-1 stuff. And then they were in there wrestling live again this afternoon. Yesterday, they were wrestling live in the afternoon and doing hill sprints up by the chapel in the morning. So
yeah, it's all
the
social media stuff.
Working.
All right, so I'll poll you guys on this. Would you rather 3.5 hours drilling on the parade field or 3.5 hours drilling in the wrestling room?
Wrestling room, but we got that our plebe year with Coach Chuck. That PIAD during grad week, it was like 4-hour practices twice a day.
If it was Coach Chuck's practice, I would have to do it.
Yeah.
Were there much different practices?
He just never stopped. He didn't. There was no time frame for him.
Yeah, it was like 8 a.m. start time was like the first practice, and then like we're done by 12, and then he's like, all right, come back at like 1:30. You're like,
armpits were bleeding practically from chafing because you'd just be doing the same move.
Knee pounds for an hour and a half straight.
Yeah. You got a lot better at it though, but
yeah, I tell you,
drilling on the parade field sounds pretty good right now.
Back then it did.
Yeah. So what's the agenda for grad week for you guys? So like what's your Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday kind of leading up to graduation day look like? Is it Matt, this is probably good. Do you talk to your dad much about like, hey, what was it like back in your day versus like now? I feel like you've got a good little lifeline to see what things are, were like back then. And then, I feel like I could be like the midway point between
Yeah.
then and now.
Yeah, you can say something like that. I mean, he always claims his time was harder, but I don't know. I think his grad week and mine, I mean, they're pretty similar. I mean, the majority of the week is going to be focused around like preparing and getting us ready for the actual graduation parade and like the grad parade on the field before our actual graduation. So it's a lot of drilling. Same was back there. I don't know. I'm pretty sure it's probably the same around your time too, but just getting, everyone on the same page and and stuff like that. It's not really too much, I think, is different, but
Do you guys like go out, like have functions in the evenings each of the nights? So I can't remember. It felt like my family got down like like Tuesday or Wednesday, and then you basically do things with your family and like, West
Yeah, so
all week, and then in the evenings you'd go party with your friends.
there's a parade tomorrow for alumni parade, and then we have grad rehearsals for the grad parade before graduation. So we have a graduation parade rehearsals every day leading up to that. But like my family comes in Wednesday, and we have the soup where we go see the soup's house for an hour or two. Wednesday and Thursday, depending on your regiment, and then on Thursday there's a ceremony at nighttime for like awards that are given out, and then Friday we have the night before banquet where you can bring 3 guests with you. So
Yeah, that was always cutthroat because everybody always had like 8 people in town, and then
exactly.
everybody expects to come to these dinners, and
Mm.
trying to like trade tickets with people to try to get some more folks, and nobody's got a
Yeah.
million people there. That probably never changes.
Yeah.
The this is the first graduation I feel like in a while. It's been Memorial Day weekend though. That's kind of like I don't know. Feels kind of lame that it's on a holiday weekend. But I think probably a while back it just probably depends on the weekend. But does that affect graduation or the impact on cadets at all? I think we froze
I
again.
mean, when you put it in perspective, it's pretty eye-opening, to be entering, like, take it all in and think about it. But I think it's a neat opportunity, and I think it's something important to think about.
Nick, if you could start that thought over again, it cut out pretty good for probably the first 20 seconds
Oh,
of
my bad, sir. I was just like, it's definitely a little eye-opening to think about, because this is like the first time we're really gonna enter the profession of arms. So it's that's like you got to be willing to lay down your life for your countries or for your country and for the men and women to your left and right. So to kind of share that weekend with Memorial Day and Memorial Day weekend is a neat opportunity, and one that you should, the graduates should reflect upon.
Yeah, it's definitely taken a new meaning for myself, thinking back on, and classmates who were killed or passed away since we graduated. Think about them a lot this weekend. Um, but yeah, it's kind of cool that you guys are able to do that. With President Trump speaking, is there a lot of extra security and layers of bureaucracy for you guys, or is it is that normal?
yeah, there's a little bit more this year. So like last week when I went up to go get my car and stuff, the Secret Service like took over all of A lot, and they had these agents in like hazmat suits doing like clearance walks around like Mikey Stadium before Biden comes in. So it was kind of cool to see because like we drove past it, and, like they made me like reroute my like going wherever I was going. But it's like interesting to see like just how like much they prepare, and also talking with Mr. Morgan, CJ Morgan's dad, and how like he was like Secret Service and the whole fact that like the importance behind getting prepared for especially POTUS to come anywhere is like a big deal. And they have to start out super early. So I think it does affect it a little bit. It wasn't too intrusive, it's just on the weekend, but it's kind of interesting to see how much they have to prepare just for like a single event in one day.
Yeah, when President Trump came in 2020, my sister and brother-in-law were living up at West Point, so I was able to be there and come up for it. But there was, that was peak COVID time, so that was chairs spaced out. It was all on the plane. Definitely, if you listen to Jeremiah Imanode's episode, he touched on kind of how weird it was at that point. But yeah, different times now. So let's get into some questions. We want to open it up for you guys a little bit. What are you most excited for about graduation, and what are your big plans for your 60 days of leave if you guys are all afforded it?
I think Benny's got this one.
Well, I'm getting married, so I'm excited about that. I'll be getting married next weekend on Saturday, June 1st. So that's something to look forward to. And then from there, I'll be going on my honeymoon with her to Aruba for 10 days. So looking forward to that as well. And then after that, I have 10 days to spend some time with family. And then we could come back here June 23rd or so for as an AI. So, but she's coming up here, so it'll be nice to get married and enjoy each other.
So they give you guys a month off as AIs to to kind of have vacation and stuff. Gotcha.
Mhm.
I guess it wouldn't make sense if it's a 6-month gig and 4 months of it are
Exactly.
our vacation, then that would kind of purposes a little bit.
Yeah.
But how about you,
What about
Nate?
you, Matt? Oh,
Well, my summer's not that exciting. I'm not getting married, but I'll be at Ben's wedding, which I'm looking forward to. Uh, After that, I think I'm gonna go to Chicago and see my girlfriend for a couple of days, then go home to for a little while. Then I'm going to Canada for the Calgary Stampede, which is like some giant rodeo for a couple of days. And then I'll probably just hang out around home and get in shape, get ready to show up to the basic school. So
You got a lot of work to do to get in
Man.
shape too, I think too.
part of me.
You got a lot of work to do to get in shape probably
Yes,
too.
sir. Hmm.
Yeah, funny.
How about you, Matt? What are you up to?
Yeah. Kind of the same scope as what Nate's doing. I'm going to Benny's wedding, so that'd be fun. A week after graduation, and then have another wedding, another teammate of mine, Logan Brown's getting married later in June, so that'd be fun. But yeah, just chilling at home, really just focusing on kind of getting ready for IBOLIC and preparation and stuff like that, but just enjoying the time with my family and kind of playing it by ear. I left it kind of open to see kind of what I want to do. I really not have like a specific plan as of now, but don't really want to miss out on anything because 60 days is the longest leave we'll probably ever have at one block time in the Army. So kind of just enjoying it, enjoying kind of a little bit of the downtime and preparation space to transition. But it'll be fun. Looking forward to it. But yeah.
If I had one recommendation, like you're saying, you're never going to have, 60 days, again, or in Benny's case, 30. Go to Europe or something. Just like, if I could go back, I literally did the same thing. I didn't have a plan. It was just nice to graduate and be done. I wish I would have hopped on a flight to Europe and not had a plan there and just kind of figured it out. Because you never get a chance to do that again. And it's kind of like, at some point pretty soon, you'll probably all settle down. And next thing you know, you've got kids and I don't have kids, but I'm settled down now, or, you're going to be in the work, thinking about your careers. And you guys talk about like getting in shape and getting ready for IBOLIC and, all the different basic courses. You guys are ready now. You guys could not work out for the next 2 months and you'll be fine. Trust me.
Yeah, Major Gardner, my infantry mentor, he was telling me the same thing. He was like, dude, just get on a flight and go to Europe somewhere. It's like go to Italy, go to wherever, just like Germany, like enjoy yourself because you're never gonna get this again. I was like, that's a good idea. I was kind of just originally gonna play it by ear, but I think I'm definitely gonna try to do something like that because why not?
Do you ever get those Instagram ads that, where it's like how you can pack like 30 days of clothes in like one little backpack, and it's like,
Yeah, the little
you
like the
should
vacuum
invest in
sealed
that
bags, or
probably.
whatever.
What?
Like the vacuum sealed bags and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're like, I don't know. I watch these videos and it's like, I don't know why they're so satisfying, but like you watch it and it's like, and they're like make all these sounds of like putting stuff away, and everything's like super organized. But I don't know, maybe that's like the travel bug that it's like they're targeting me. But
Oh,
so that's exciting though. Let's see. Actually, Matt, your dad asked me, your dad recommended this topic. So
oh no.
what
Here we go.
what is your biggest gripe with old grads? And that's kind of a loaded question because there's a lot of different angles you can go from there. But I gave you guys plenty of time to, think this through. So, for the listeners out there, I gave them these questions like 6 hours ago. But who wants to go first?
I'll go first, but mine's not going to be a gripe, so maybe this is bad. But I would honestly say more than anything, I'm probably jealous of them, like listening to the stories and stuff they tell, because I would love to be able to go back and experience what it was like to be a cadet, like in the different eras, if that makes sense. Because you hear all these crazy stories, and I just don't think it could happen today, like at the academy, just because it's just a different environment. But I would say more than anything, I'm just jealous, like when of listening to them and hearing the crazy stories that they have, because it's hilarious.
Yeah, we had this, in my era early on, there was a shared drive that it went away, I think my yuck year, but my plebe year, that's where people like uploaded videos and made like funny stuff. And like, I don't, uh, is Naked Man still a thing there?
Yeah, it's still a thing.
Okay. That was like really big for a while. Like, because if you got caught, you got turned back, and like, so you know, the ramifications were high. But then all of a sudden they like, I think it was like my Cal year, you didn't get in much trouble if you got caught doing it and they didn't chase you. So like people just stopped doing it.
Yeah, I don't think they chase you, but you do get in a lot of trouble. I know a couple guys that did it my sophomore year, but or my yuck year, but yeah, they didn't get caught, so I don't know what it would be nowadays, but I do remember that.
When I came on my recruiting visit, the guy I stayed with, his roommate, got caught and got turned back. He was like, I think he was a rugby player, and he went like during the parade on a Saturday. Naked Man through, and he went through Washington Gate, like like Washington Hall, like right in the main entrance there. And it just so happened that as he walked in, like Attack was walking out and like clotheslined and tackled him. Like he
No
had the
way.
perfect out, like he had it all figured out, except like some random tack was just walking out at the exact wrong time and just tackled him.
That's
It's
crazy.
too bad.
What
Did you
about
guys did you guys have a plebe pillow fight?
we did? I have videos. Not of my. I didn't participate in it as a plebe because it was kind of like I think it was like during wrestling season, and I was like, nah.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this. And like somebody's gonna put, a lock, in the pillow and get knocked out. It always, I don't know if that happens, but it seemed like it happened every single time.
Well, they stopped it. They don't do it anymore. Like we were
Really?
the class before us was the last class. I think it was because people were putting lock boxes in their pillowcases in the
I made a
ACHs.
video. So back in my day, like, there weren't like cell phones that had videos. Everybody
Mhm.
carried around like you had your cell phone, and then you had like a digital camera.
Mhm.
And so this digital camera of mine, I still have like all this stuff, but like I would video in the hallway and like, and put these little, you know, footage together. I didn't post any of this stuff. I just like had it, but I went
Mhm.
back a couple years ago and looked through it. And one of them was like, a plebe like knocked out, in, like Grant, barracks area.
Yeah.
And I was, commentating on like, yeah, somebody put a lockbox, in their pillowcase.
Oh,
So what are your other gripes with old grads?
Matt, you go.
Yeah, so I mean, I probably have the most experience at everyone because obviously my dad, he was class of '90, so I get a lot of interesting takes from him. But I think for me, the biggest gripe I would say is like more of like a pet peeve of mine. It's like he always uses the terms that he would use back in the day. So whether it's like our uniform is like it's called like ACUs, like the Army Combat Uniform, but back in his day it was called BDUs. And he would like every time like a uniform or like something, he would like call it the way he called it, and I would have no idea what it was. And then like I would like correct him on it or whatever after that, and then he would still use like what he knew. So it was like kind of funny like how our conversations go sometimes. It's always like him talking in like his terms. I'm always like having to try to correct him and stuff. But either that or the fact that like a lot of the old grads always say that's like harder back in their day. I kind of mentioned this earlier. And how they're like, oh yeah, we had to do way more stuff than you did and stuff like that. It's like, well, I mean, everyone's experience is different. I think that like to say like yours was objectively harder is not really completely accurate, but I could see from a bunch of different lenses and scopes of why it was hard. But that's kind of like in general my gripes, but nothing too bad. Living with my dad has kind of been a little bit hard sometimes because of that, but we get over it.
I'll go off that and just say, no matter what who the old grad is, they always like it was harder in my day than it is now. I feel like 10 years down the road, we'll be saying that to people too. So I feel like it's just one of those chain reactions that happen here.
I thought it was gonna be, old grads complaining about, and kind of like harder, but like you guys having air conditioning now, and do all the barracks have air conditioning now?
Yeah.
Yes.
The last ones that didn't were Lee and Sherman, which they tore down or they were renovated or renovating
Yeah.
now. So
Oh man, Beast,
But,
wouldn't be the same if I had AC.
but yeah, plebes and stuff, they're getting better uniforms now too, stuff.
They
yeah,
get
they're
better
getting issued
uniforms?
straight out of
Yeah, like they're getting summer ACUs now we never got. They're actually switching the robes. The bathroom robes are black now. And then everything they're getting issued is just nicer and they get to keep a lot of it rather than the stuff that we were given. So
Man, these new guys, they don't know what it was like. So going into more current event stuff. So I probably touched on it in an episode with some guys, but and Coach Ward's talked about it, but the draft tables, how you guys develop, the tables of I guess for course wide tables for meals. How did the draft tables come to be? And like, was it before you guys when it started? And how did do you guys know the history on that? I don't think we've went in depth about the draft tables, but I think it's such a cool concept.
Matt, you know
For
what
our
started?
time.
yeah. I mean it was before our time. I don't remember the exact. I mean it wasn't that far before our time, but
I think it was Noah
Yeah,
now.
yeah. So his time. So probably
maybe
like
20,
probably like 6 to 7 years ago.
yeah,
So what goes
2019.
into that process? You guys get all dressed up, you run out of space. Who's in charge of like facilitating all the logistics for that
The
project?
first E class. It facilitates everything. A space is rented out, and the people, all the underclassmen are drafted to the table, and they send in bios, and then we have the plebes do a skit in the wrestling room, like to up their draft stock because we don't really know any of them unless they were at prep. So uh, yeah, it's a good time. It's a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
we also have like the firsties that run it. There's like two, I would say around two that are like really main in charge, and they hold this like they take all the upperclassmen into one of the big classrooms in Thayer, and they have like a full blown 45, 50
5 paragraph op
minute,
order.
5 paragraph op order of exactly, and it's like so funny, and it's a good time to like really bond with the team because like it's like one of the most interesting operators you'll ever hear. And it's all made up. Sometimes some of it, I mean, it's like real, but it's funny. It's a good time.
Yeah, you get jerseys and stuff. You can get drafted to the table. So it's kind of like a NFL draft in a way.
Our first season, you guys you guys reuse the jerseys, or is it like new ones each year? Like,
Yeah,
New
we get new
ones.
ones each year. It's also generally we get as many donations for it as possible too. So like that's kind of what, goes into paying for it a lot is like donations from like our class and all the wrestlers as well as other companies like and friends and family like help contribute and makes it run. So that's how we get the jersey money and stuff like that. So
gotcha. Starting to cut in and out a little bit. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Matt, you were talking, it was talking really slow there.
Yes.
I think we got the gist of it there. Yeah, that's so cool. I mean, I think, at one point it was literally just a free for all. Like everybody could just sit wherever they wanted. And it was kind of like, they got like clicks. And then one year, team captain, he literally just like put tables together and was like, you're sitting here. And it was like organized like that. And like there were some gripes with it too, but this was a different time. I mean, I feel like you guys are, so much closer as a team than we were. I mean, we were like close, but it was, it wasn't as organized as the way you guys have it now. The closest thing we had to that was during on Saturdays, instead of parading, instead of going and having practice, we used to have AWFL, Army Wrestling Football League. And we go down to, the riverfront there, the docks. At the time, we used to call it Gay Beach. I don't know if that's like a term, you guys probably don't use that anymore. But they refer to it as that because that's like, if you would go down to like Suntan or something, it would just be like a bunch of dudes like hanging out down there.
That's hilarious.
They used to call it Gay Beach, but
That's awesome.
probably not anymore. But those were fun days. We used to, that it was football Saturdays, but those were a lot of fun. Let's see. So moving into some kind of current event stuff too. I mean, you guys beat Navy for the first time this year, and I feel like I've talked to Coach Ward about it. I've talked to Coach Blythe. I talked to Benny about it. This is like a topic we come all the time, or a topic that comes up all the time. But like summarizing maybe, Matt or Nate, because we've heard about it from Ben, but like, just what if, what it meant to go out there and beat Navy your final try, and like, kind of leading up to that. I'll let you guys take that one.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible. I know it really bothered me because the year prior, like obviously it came down to me and I lost, so like the team lost, and so that was like one of the toughest times for me as a wrestler to like have it so close, like Cal year, and then lose it for both myself and the team. Like that was tough. So definitely going the weeks leading up to that, I was pretty motivated, and the guys were super motivated to go down there and win that duel. And I know a lot of people didn't really put us in a position to actually win, but I mean we knew we could do it. We got some real tough guys, and to do it down there was pretty incredible. It was a great environment. They're always crazy, and they always pack a full house just because it's Army versus Navy, and it was just a great environment, and what a way to go out for us as a class, because we were 0-3 and some really close duels the last 3 years, but it's finally good to have one go our way. And hopefully we can now set the example for the guys that are on the team still, that that's help them go forward and crush Navy for the foreseeable future. So yeah, no, it was an incredible duel, and couldn't have been more proud of the guys for their effort.
Matt, I gotta ask, what were you thinking?
Yeah,
For
that's a
the,
great question.
for the listeners out there, I won't give any context. But hopefully you know where I'm getting at. Run,
Yeah, so
run,
I have
run me through
gotten
the thought process a little bit.
okay. So I, I don't know. I will say like leading up to it, like kind of what Nate hit on was like we were really motivated and like we were like especially as a class, like all the seniors, like we really wanted to win this and kind of before the duel, Coach Ward came up to me and was like talked to me about how he's like, hey, I want you to be the last match. Like I have like faith in you and trust that you're gonna go out there and compete. And I think that like I got a little bit too into that and I was just like so excited to go out there that kind of didn't really wrestle my best. Especially like, I kind of towards the end, like my to be honest, my thought process was like I thought I lost. I thought I was losing the duel. So like after I got put to my back and fought off that like especially like going back to the feet, like I looked over and like I didn't really understand that like all I had to do was not get pinned or like tech fall to like win the match. So I just started trying to like throw him and like put it to his back because I figured that I needed at least a big move to get back into the match because I was already losing. But I don't know. I it kind of all went out the window. But I will say it's like kind of on the question in general and how it felt is like I'll say it's for me is a little bit different. I would say it's very like emotional. Like not only it's like a kind of what Nate says, like a hard taking a hard loss, especially to like someone like a rival and stuff like that. But it's like also emotional to see like how much it meant to my teammates and like how they supported me after that. So it was one of the lowest, but one of the highest times in my career at the same time.
Well, I can imagine. So when did you realize, like, when did it come to you that like the team was going to win? Like, was it still during the match, or like, or is like the other guy got his hand raised and you're like, sorry guys, and they're like, we won.
That's exactly what it was. I came off the mat and I was like, I thought we lost. And then like I'm like literally I ran off the mat and I was like, oh my goodness, I just lost it for the team. And then like they all started cheering and I'm so confused. And I think I forget who it was. I think it was like it was either Bergie or Coach Blythe that like came over and like hugged me and like, we did it. I'm like, I didn't do anything. I don't know, I don't know what you're talking about. I just lost the duel. And they're like, no, we won. We won. Cause like I don't know what I thought it honestly didn't even sink in until like we started singing second that I was like, dude, we actually won. I was like, oh, that was crazy.
Hey, that's a good story you'll be able to tell your grandkids one day.
Yeah.
But how you blacked out in the wrestling match and really didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
Hey, it all worked out.
Yep.
So Nate, you talked to us a little bit about, you mentioned earlier your cross commissioning. So if you could, tell the listeners a little bit about, what went into that decision and kind of the logistics behind it. I remember, I think every few classes it happens like, one
Mhm.
person, but I never knew anybody directly that did that. So, if you could spend a couple minutes kind of giving us a rundown of that'd be pretty cool.
Yes, sir. Uh, so I grew up always wanting to be a Marine. My dad was an infantry officer in the Marine Corps, and then I had two uncles in the Marine Corps. One was an enlisted rifleman, and the other one went to the Naval Academy and flew helicopters for the Marine Corps. So growing up, I wanted to follow in their footsteps and go into the Marine Corps. And at first, I wanted to go to officers candidate school because that's what my dad did. And I was like, oh, that's what I'm going to do. And I didn't really know what Navy or West Point was. And then I know this will probably go against what some of the listeners want to hear, but I wanted to go to the Naval Academy because that's just like what I grew up around. I visited it with my uncle and I was just like, oh, this place is cool. And I didn't really know about West Point. And then again, I still want to be in the Marine Corps. We visited like a bunch of the bases that my dad and my uncles had been at and watching the jets and the helicopters fly over and stuff like that. I was like, oh, I gotta be a Marine. And then flash forward to my wrestling career. I never thought I was gonna wrestle Division 1 in college. And I just didn't think I got into the sport late and didn't think I was good enough. And Coach Ward was the first coach to reach out to me on like the opening day of the recruiting, and like that meant the world to me. And I came up on a visit to West Point and fell in love with West Point. And so I kind of put the idea of being a Marine on the back burner just because, I got the offer to attend West Point and I couldn't pass up on it. I talked to my uncle and my dad, and uh, they're like, yeah, go to West Point. It's the better academy. And so, uh, I ended up at West Point. I haven't looked back since, and I don't regret anything at all. About it. It's been just the best decision I've made, and an incredible experience. The bonds I've made and the experiences I've had have been unbelievable. But I found out I knew guys who'd cross commissioned into the Marine Corps, Navy through West Point. So I knew it was possible. I knew like the odds weren't the best, but uh, found out about that. There's actually some boys from where I was from in Pittsburgh that wrestled at Army and then commissioned into the SEALs. Uh, Wilding, is it
Yeah,
Austin or
yeah.
Austin? Yep. So he's in the SEALs, and then both of his brothers are. One of the brothers wrestled in Navy. Anyways, like I knew about it from them because my dad had talked to their dad before, so knew that it was possible. So I started all that stuff my yuck year. And by the end of my Cal year, so I had to submit like 2 to 5 letters of recommendation. And then since I wanted to fly for the Marine Corps, I had to have a flight physical, naval flight physical done. And then I had like a letter of intent why I wanted to cross commission. So I submitted all that at the end of my Cal year, come back for beginning of first year. I had a board interview with like the head of Department of Military Instruction, the Air Force officer, Marine officer. So they just kind of ask you a bunch of questions. Why do you want to do it? And things like that. And then that was like the last thing I had to do. Thankfully, I had, it's got to go up the chain of command. It's got to go through your TAC, the BTO, commandant, superintendent, assistant secretary of the Army for manpower and readiness. And then it has to go over after getting approved by all those people. It's got to go over to the assistant secretary of the Navy for manpower and readiness and get approved by them in order to get accepted for me into the Marine Corps. So that's where my hang up was. Thankfully, I had like Colonel Guest has been like just an unbelievable help throughout this process. He's really been helping me get my package pushed through. Colonel Fedorovich, who's the DMI 6 currently, was a huge support. And then obviously the Marine officer here, Major Downs. But yeah, they kind of all help make it possible. So I'll graduate commission as a second lieutenant in the Marine Corps, and then I'll head down to the basic school in Quantico, Virginia for 6 months, and then after that off to flight school in Pensacola if everything goes according to plan. So sorry, I was kind of long-winded, but
No, I think I'm interested in it. I think our listeners, don't get to be exposed to this kind of stuff. So I've got a few questions, but I'll save most of them to when we do like your full blown episode. But
oh gosh.
one thing that first crossed my mind is when Coach Ward reaches out, starts recruiting you, do you use that and reach out to like Kerry Colott and be like, hey, are you interested in recruiting me to the Naval Academy? Like use
He
that.
wasn't there at the time, so it was Joel Sherritt, and I think he ended up getting fired. So it was like super weird. So like Navy recruited me a little bit, and I visited the Naval Academy. I'll be honest, I really like that first time I stepped foot in the room at Army. And like again, I was a nobody, but all those guys treated me so well, and like that meant a lot to me. How they treated me, and I stayed with Sean Fitzsimmons, and he just treated me so well. He's taking me around to see all the other guys, and uh, I had a ball. So it was like, and then I went to the Naval Academy. And I had a good experience, but not like what I had at Army. So that was like another thing that just kind of pushed me towards West Point. But yeah, like Navy just kind of stopped recruiting me, and uh, again, like couldn't pass up the offer to attend West Point, like when I was kind of guaranteed a spot. And again, I don't regret it at all. And I'm so glad I ended up at Army.
Hey, we are too. I mean, I was at the gala, and I feel like you got 80% of the awards, of the team. So I feel bad for some of the guys. And next year it's gonna be better. Or it's gonna be not better. It's gonna be different because now we're gonna see some other faces get some awards instead of just like you getting like 80% of them. Ben getting 98% of the rest, or getting the rest of them, and then the rest of the team just kind of flapping. I'm just teasing.
Nice.
No, that's so cool. But I think most of our listeners know now that Nate, what do you have? Like, you have like over a 4.0 GPA. You don't, it seems like you don't do anything like out of the norm or like get in trouble at all. Do you guys got any kind of funny stories, that you could hold against, Nate? That you could use as like, blackmail. Well, maybe I could edit this out if we need to, but I don't know. I don't even think Nate does anything that bad. Not to put you guys on the
I
spot.
mean, I 100% have a couple, but I mean, it's just like just fun times, especially early on, like yuck cow year when we can't really go very far, so like we go to like a teammate's house that's close and just hang out and stuff like that. But yeah, I definitely have a couple stories of blackmail over old Nate Lukez.
I'm just teasing. I don't want to put you guys on the spot like that. But on a similar note, like reflecting back at your last 4 years, what would you say your best memory is at West Point, non-wrestling related? So Ben, I know, coming All-American, that can't be your best memory here. Non-wrestling related.
My best memory, when I saw that question, I thought about it was probably honestly after COVID. We were stuck here for a long time, and my parents and now fiance, they made a surprise visit when I didn't know they were coming, and they surprised me. And Lane was here, so he like took me out to see them. And I had no clue, so just being able to see them after like 4 months of not seeing them or being outside the gate, it was a really cool experience there. It was full of joy.
Well, those are good times.
It
Even
was.
when it was like, I didn't go through COVID or anything like that, but I can remember vividly the first time I was able to eat after Buckner, and we had like bad food at Buckner, and somebody brought in like a buffalo chicken pizza from Shades. I'll never forget how good that pizza was. Rest in peace, Shades, by the way.
Yeah, that happened, and then
They stink. They were terrible. I
Oh,
stand by that. We would go there for when we were here like over Christmas leave training. They like refused to seat us one time. And yeah, so we stopped going there, and I think we actually put them out of business. Army Wrestling was like the final because we took our business elsewhere.
well, there's a lot of listeners that I know. I mean, Shades had a great reputation when I was there. And it wasn't something I would eat a lot during wrestling season because this is like horrible, greasy pizza. Like you can't get away with that. But man, in the off season, party pizzas save the day a lot of times. So what'd you say your guys' best memory at West Point is outside of wrestling?
There you go.
Shoot. I mean,
I can go if you're not ready. I got.
no, mine's kind of the same, but it's like same time frame. I think during COVID year was some of the most like memorable, like at least for me, like memorable times, especially at West Point, because like Ben said, like we couldn't really go out and do much. So like any type of like fun and like ways that around that were kind of like really impactful. And I think one time, all the class of 2024 boys that know this story, but like one of the most memorable times is when during plebe year because like we're in cohorts, so especially the plebes on the team, like we all kind of wrestle together, so like we were able to hang out and do stuff together without masks generally because we were in the same group. But we were able to go out and we played this like massive game of full tackle no pads football out in Daly Field. And towards the end of the game, Thomas Deck, he one of the other seniors goes up for like gets tossed an absolute Hail Mary, and Dylan Sheehy comes flying from halfway across the field and just lights Thomas up midair, like Odell Beckham getting like going for the catch and just getting absolutely plowed by a semi truck. It was one of the funniest things I've seen here, and especially memorable during play year.
Nobody plays harder than Dylan Sheehy. You
Nobody.
tell him
He
it's a game, he's like the first guy you want to pick. That guy is a
absolute
freak of
athlete.
nature.
He was pretty big into football in high school too, I think, right?
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if you played safety or linebacker because, dude, ain't no one catching a ball over that guy.
Mhm.
I'll tell you that.
How about you, Nate? Let's hear your.
I mean, I got a couple things like so for me, I guess the first it's like a big thing, but summer training, like CFT and CLDT, like just being out in the field, I had so much fun, and it was just I love being around the wrestlers, but sometimes we spend so much time together, we don't get a lot of exposure to the other cadets, and so for me, like the opportunity is to meet a bunch of different kids, it at the summer training. There's so many good dudes here, so it was just a lot of fun to be out there in the field with guys, especially watching like some soft people like crumble and stuff like when it starts raining. We just had a good times. And then I would say another good like fond memory I have is so like when we couldn't leave or do anything plebe year, uh Tanner Craig, another one of the firsties, he and I would just go light stuff on fire down at Flirty Walk like every all the time. Like every study day we would go down there and just like have fire pits because there was nothing else to do. And one time we did it and it was like 10 degrees out, snowing, wind howling, and we built a fire on top of the snow and just like hung out down there in our camis for a couple hours just because hung out. But they just found stuff to do because there was nothing to do during COVID when we were locked down, especially in the winter. But good memories.
Man, different world. It's easy to be happy back there in those times with the smallest things.
Mhm.
Well, we've got some listener questions. I don't understand this one. This is from Tyler Morris. How many firsties will Nate Lukez commission? Is that like an inside joke?
I don't know. I was just joking because like I'm having the Marine officer do my commissioning, and so I was just kidding with like if for some reason nobody shows up to commission the rest of the guys because they're doing theirs out at Round Pond. I'm just gonna do mine at Arden and head out to Round Pond with the guys. I was like, I'll just show up and do your guys' oath. So
That was kind of silly.
yeah, it's kind of an inside joke.
Chandler Smith on here. Who had the highest ACFT and who had the lowest IOCT of the firsties? I guess of you guys.
I
Ben,
don't
you're the
know.
highest, right?
What?
Did you get a 600?
I got 603 times.
Yeah, so it's Ben's got the highest.
I know Dylan's maxed it too.
Yep.
What'd you get, Nate? What was your high?
597 was the highest I got.
And I guess I'm the lowest. I got 596.
What got you? I got out before the.
Honestly, the hand release push-ups.
Really?
Yeah, I
How
don't
do
know.
you get to do? What could you get to?
I don't know what the number is.
It's
Max
usually
is
High 50s,
52,
right? Or
52, 57?
something like
So
that.
like once
Yeah.
you
I was always like one or two short. That and then the ball throw. That's like what gets me now because when I turned 22, I think we moved into a new age category, so you
Yeah.
got a little bit further. And I was just able to max. I mean, we don't practice it though.
No.
You just go up and throw it for the first time, like every what is it, like once a year. So
Yeah, once you turn 22, you have to do it bumps up from 57 to 61 push-ups in the 2 minutes, but it's the hand release, so it takes longer, and then 13.1 like meter ball throw and stuff. So, but
Most of us generally max everything besides the ball throw. That's kind of like the consensus on the team. I mean, like all the like if you're over like close to 6 foot, over like a buck 80, like you're generally getting it most of the time. It's just like mostly form, but it's like it all depends a lot of because we're always used to like pulling down and not really like throwing something up and like over our heads. So it's kind of a little bit of a foreign, not like foreign, but not natural, especially what our strengths are. So that's kind
What
of
type
what
of ball?
gets.
Is it weighted
like
or?
a what 15-pound med ball.
Yeah, it's a med ball, and like you can't really like you're on a line, you can't really cross it. So
Yeah.
like you're throwing it up, and like over your head. It's like mostly all form. We just don't ever practice it.
Which is a bad excuse, but
I feel like I could
yeah,
launch.
Maybe I'll
maybe
take
I shouldn't say excuse.
maybe I'll take you out in the fall at some point. You can take it.
Yeah, I'll show you how to do some push-ups too. While we're at it.
Who's the slowest IOCT though? I'm trying
We
to
had a
think.
couple people not tab it.
Tanner's wicked fast. It's not him. Who would be on
What's
this?
what's the time now that's good?
2:38, I believe, is
Yeah,
tabbing it, and then maxing it's like a 2:26.
Sanch is really fast. I don't know who this.
No one's been
Our
like
class
below
isn't bad.
250. I think like the lowest was like a 248 or so, or the worst score.
Everyone's tabbed it. I think all the first teams tabbed it at a certain point.
That's a tough one, man. I came back and did it. I think it was like 2013. And not like I didn't do like the whole thing, but just even like the technique, like getting on the shelf and like going across the I forget the poles or whatever. I was like, man, this takes some practice.
We're back.
I lost you guys there for a little bit. I'm gonna have to do some serious editing for this episode.
Uh-oh.
Where,
No, let's start from the top again.
Ben's face out the whole time.
where did I lose you guys there? Was I describing my my IOCT shenanigans?
You
No, sir.
started to say IOCT and that stopped.
Oh, yeah, man. I tried to come back and do it as like an old grad. This was like 10 years ago too. And I was struggling, like just the technique, getting up on the shelf and not thinking about how to do it, like not practicing at all. Oh man. And it was like, I was like afraid of heights there for a second. Cause I hadn't been, going across the thing. I'm like, I'm not even timing myself. Cause I was like, can I break 3 minutes? Like not even practicing. And I was not even gonna come close. I don't think. So yeah.
I don't know how to get up it that way. I just muscled up because I don't know the technique for it
Yeah, he's
at
so much
all.
better than everyone.
Oh, I mean that.
Well, I'm sure you got that technique is like put your one heel up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. I think that's harder to get up.
Once you get to know it, it's easier. I think I do that technique. If you just pinch your knees and like it's like really easy once you get it though, because there's like a little divot in the shelf where like your heel goes.
Yeah. Now we've got a couple hard questions. These are from Coach Ward. This one.
Uh-oh.
What is something a team captain should be responsible for that you didn't do?
Ooh.
This is going to take some thinking. I don't know if he actually expects you guys to answer this. I think he was just being funny. We'll let you think about that as we go through an easier one. I'm sure you've done this before, but what's the number one thing you would tell a recruit to sell the West Point experience?
I would say it's gonna be it's a tough time there. Every day is not gonna be fun, but take it one day at a time, because if you look at too far in the future, it's gonna be too much. So if you take it 1 week at a time, or the next break you have something to look forward to, and you're gonna get through. It's just a matter of time. So enjoy the small moments you can while you're there, because you're gonna regret it if you don't in the long run.
Yeah, I think for me, yeah, it just boiled down to like there is not another team in the country or I don't know where else like that's as close and bonded and just like a team, a family as we are. Like for like if that, I mean, I saw that on my first time coming here and like hanging out with like some of the guys. Like you see it. Like it's so natural now for us that we're 4 years in, but like just to see how close the team is with each.
I think you hit the nail on the head there, Matt. That's like I can't see another place having like such a group of brothers that we have here. It's incredible, and the cool thing, about that relationship here is it's not just gonna make you like a better person, it'll make you a better wrestler too. And I think that's you don't find that at other Division I colleges. And you talk to people who wrestle at different places or coach at different places, and that's like one of the first things they notice is like how tight we are as a group. It just doesn't exist at other places, and I think that's a neat and a really incredible thing that being in an environment such as West Point, it really forces you to make those bonds, or else you're not really gonna be as happy or feel as fulfilled. But being a member of the wrestling team has just been an incredible experience. And so like I would tell her crazy. I was just saying like I think Matt hit the nail on the head. Like you're not gonna find another brotherhood that you have here. You talk to people who coach at other places or people who wrestle at other Division I programs, and they'll all say like one of the first things they notice is like how tightly bonded we are, and uh, it just doesn't exist at other places. And it's such a great thing, the West Point environment is that it like forces you to come together in order to succeed, and uh, that it's possible here to become a really great wrestler. Look at Ben, the progress he's made. It's been incredible, and so like you can be a great wrestler here, and it's also gonna.
Yeah, I apologize. This internet
Oh,
is.
you're good, sir.
I'm gonna be calling up Xfinity after this, my internet, and raising some hell because I actually increased like the Wi-Fi stuff like this week, or like 5 days ago,
Yeah.
just because it was like causing issues, and I think I'll have somebody come out and check out what's going on. There's issues, but that was the last listener question we had. Any final thoughts, before the internet cuts out again, and we wrap this baby up.
I can't think of anything specific at the moment, like off the top of my head for changing anything. I would say the biggest thing is just keeping like the team culture is so important in having buy-in from the wrestlers. So if you can keep everyone on one path, and if there's any negative talk or anything going on, if you can be there as like the captains or just anyone on the team to like reinforce like, hey, we have a purpose here. We're gonna think positive, say positive things. So we have a good environment and a good team here, because that's what can pull a team apart and cause diversity and cause problems. So I think that just having a good culture is so important, and that's what we have in our team right now, and it's something we gotta keep forward and pushing forward towards.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Starts from the top down. Right.
Yeah. I think for me I'd be a little bit of like a sellout, but I think so like for like especially for all the listeners, like just thank them for all their support over the last 4 years. It's made a huge difference to have not only tremendous fans that come watch us at our home meets and away meets, and just like all the support that they give us, and making trips like we talked about earlier, like the Piads, and how some of them are down in North Carolina right now. And it's just important, and it's really fulfilling to see how all these classes and families and friends come together to really make what we do possible and give us the best opportunities to succeed. So this is a quick thank you to all the supporters and all the listeners out there.
Appreciate that. Nate, any final words?
I would just say it's been an honor to be an Army wrestler, and it's been an honor to be on the BHAW podcast. I've gotten more information out of this, listening to this during the wrestling season than I ever got out of the coaching staff. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But seriously, no, these were sweet. My dad's always sending me to them, and I'd be listening to them while I'm doing my homework or studying. But yeah, no, thanks to everybody who's out there supporting the program. And it's played being an Army wrestler has played such a huge role in developing myself, and I don't think I'd be ready to go lead Marines or soldiers if it weren't for like the incredible experiences that I've had here. Because being an Army wrestler, you learn a lot about yourself, and I'm glad I learned it here and not out in the force. So it's been a pleasure.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys hopping on, everything you guys done, have done too. I mean, you guys, for the rest of your lives, not just graduating from, this Saturday, but when you tell people 10, 15 years, from now that, you graduated from West Point and you were team captain of the wrestling team, that's just another layer on top of, not just, your character, but also the toughness and, how, the cream always rises to the top, and, being selected as a captain is a huge thing for, for the program, and people understand that out, in the real world. So you guys, got very bright futures ahead. Sure of that, but I appreciate you guys coming on behalf of all the listeners as well. And good luck this week dealing with, West Point and balancing family time and all that stuff. You'll get a good night's sleep probably Saturday or Sunday night.
Thank you, Bira.
Awesome. Well, have a good one.
Thank you, Bureau.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in to the BHAW Radio Show. If you like what you heard, be sure to subscribe and leave us a 5-star rating on your favorite podcast platform. If there's something you'd like to hear on a future show, reach out to us on any of our social media, Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter. Or you can reach us at email, bhaw.radio@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your thoughts, and as always, go Army, be Navy.